Welcome to the Connecting with Coincidence radio show with Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, bringing together the world's synchronicity experts to help you use meaningful coincidences to develop spiritually, psychologically, and practically. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence into your web browser to find the book, website, Psychology Today blog, YouTube channel, and Facebook page. And now, here is the host of the Connecting with Coincidence radio show, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD.
Yes, thanks, Rob. Thank you very much. This is Bernie Beitman, MD, and this is CC with BB, Connecting with Coincidence. Meaningful coincidences challenge our established beliefs. They suggest that we can be telepathic, that we can know the future and have our own human GPS. Coincidences suggest that we are deeply connected to loved ones and to all humans and to all living beings. Studying them uncovers the maps for these currently mysterious connections through our mental atmosphere, the psychosphere. I encourage you to sharpen your sensitivity to coincidences and to examine their potential uses and explanations. Read my book, Connecting with Coincidence, and learn along with me. Synchronicity spoken here. Our guest today is Greg Myeroff, who spent 20 years using his intuition in corporate sales, winning awards for his achievements. He subsequently has spent the last 20 years showing clients how to succeed at work and at home using their own intuition. In his Great Life Empowerment program, he intuitively reads your energy, works with you to clear out blocks, and establishes alignment and flow in your system so you can focus and create what you want. This flow brings around synchronicities that make your life easier and more fun. Greg is co-founder of Go Intuition Incorporated. He is the co-author of The Path of Intuition, your guidebook for life's journey and journey to heaven, an insider's guide to the afterlife. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for helping me with the co-creation of this coincidence by being on your show.
Yeah, coincidence can be defined rather broadly, and you are defining it rather broadly, because the way I am thinking about it is if you have an explanation for how it happens, it's not a coincidence.
Yes and no.
Do the no part of it.
Well, let's just take the coincidence of us meeting, all right? Anne, my wife, was speaking at the same conference as you were, and I just happened to be there and attended your talk. And then I had the desire prior to this to get on more fun radio shows. Just before I left, I had a conversation with somebody, and there you were with the radio program. I came back, bought your book, and now I'm on your radio show. So there was a desire, and out of that desire created a coincidence. That's how I look at that.
Oh, that's nice. The missing piece for me, obviously, is that you wanted to be on a fun radio show, and now you are.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. And what brought me my interest to you, what you talked about when we met at the conference, was that the relationship between intuition and synchronicity, and that synchronicity is a gateway to psi events. That was what did it, that latter part, that synchronicity is a gateway to psi experiences, or awareness of psi experiences. And that was the point of my talk, is to try to say to this group of remote viewers and people at the Society for the Scientific Exploration that we should pay attention to coincidences, because they will lead the more general public into recognizing psi events.
I fully agree. Everybody is at a certain level of awareness, and coincidences and synchronicities are an easy way for people to grasp or understand, or at least put their toe in the water around other things that are happening around us, whether it's remote viewing or telekinesis or channeling or whatever. It's a way for them to get get started. And by an easy thing of, hey, look at your coincidences and discuss those with them, that opens them up to other possibilities, which is what you were talking about in your speech.
And that's why you're on the program, because that's where you that's where
That's
you and
right.
I came. That's where you and I came together, and I'm glad you accepted the invitation. The invitation fit what you were looking for. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the kind of that's the kind of hand and glove experience that I very much enjoy, and probably you have lots of them. And from what you're telling me, many of the people who consult with you end up finding themselves in similar experiences.
Yeah, I have one client that she had been working with us for a while, and she had the focus of negative things always happening to her. And by just giving her that change in perspective and saying, hey, why don't you look at the positive things and look for things that are coincidences, and kind of defining coincidences as events that occur that reinforce the positive for her. She started noticing him all the time. And then she would talk to me and I'd say, yeah, that's a coincidence. You know, you wanted to talk to somebody and they called you. You were at the store, you ran into somebody you were thinking about. So by just giving her that idea of a coincidence, like you're doing with all your listeners, it opens up the possibility that there's more and life can be better through coincidences.
Just keep talking about that, because I think you're onto something.
Well, the idea here is that most people are caught in their beliefs, their programming. A lot of it can be religious, but a lot of it could be just upbringing. The idea that you have to work hard to make money. You might pick that up from your parents, or the idea that there isn't anything more, and don't go after or believe in unseen friends and things like that. As a kid, we have this programming, and it's hard to break through those programming, especially in our society here that says if you can't see it, don't believe it. So the idea is, if you can give them a little bit of opening, just crack that door a little bit and let them work on that, let it marinate for a while, and then they'll come back and say, okay, well, I see there's a little bit more. Now I want more. And that's where you go to the next level. So it's always teaching the student at whatever level they're at and just giving them bits and pieces to move them ahead.
Get a crack in the programming.
Mm-hmm.
And tailoring that to students. Tell us more about that.
Okay. I had a client, and she came to me and she says, I'm stuck. I'm totally afraid of moving anything in my life. I can't leave my job. I can't leave my house. I can't leave my city. I feel stuck, and I'm afraid. Because if I move, it's going to have all this effect on people around me, and so I'm stuck. So what I did is to focus a little bit on the positive. And, well, if you first get an analysis of where they are, okay, so you kind of list that down, and then you ask where they want to go. And from there, you could say a few little things, which is, one, you can go and you will be able to succeed. The second part of that is to get their energy flowing. Okay, I know you do a lot of dance, and that's getting your mind and your emotions and your physical all working together. That's movement. And a lot of people don't have much movement in their life. So I got her moving, exercising, walking. Then I worked with her a little bit on her energy system and getting that moving. And through all those, she started awakening and the fear started going away. And the next thing she knows, she sold her house and she bought a new condo in a city as opposed to being in the suburbs. And her whole life changed because of just a little bit of awareness and the possibility there could be more to life than just where she was, which was stuck.
Fundamental, I think, to what you're describing is energizing the belief in a desired future.
Absolutely. Anything you put attention on gets stronger. That's the way things work. So she put her attention on a possible future, and then that thus created an opening, that door opening, that she could have it. So it worked out great. It's that attention and focus on what she wanted, not the fear behind it and what she didn't want.
And I do psychotherapy. I've written books on psychotherapy, and I find the programming is still more about the past than about the future.
Well, the past can influence the future, right? If the past is what you think about in your life, I mean, a lot of people are in the future, and then some are in the past, but very few people are in the present, which is all where the magic happens.
It's all where the magic happens that allows you then to realize what you're thinking about for the future. And part of that is for you to help them look at the positive. And the way you frame that is positive is paying attention to coincidences. I want to continue that. We're coming to the end of this segment. You're listening to Connecting with Coincidence with your host, Bernie Beitman, MD, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And our guest is Greg Myeroff, and we're talking about intuition and synchronicity.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Welcome back to CC with BB, Connecting with Coincidence, and our guest is Greg Myeroff, who is co-founder of Go Intuition Incorporated, and we're talking about the relationship between intuition and synchronicity. And Greg has a very gentle, easy way of connecting people with coincidence. And you summarized it by saying that look for the positive, and that means look for the connections between what you're thinking and what happens outside of you. I think that's what you're talking about.
Well, one of the important things in this world today is being in the present, and I think you use the word being aware, and that's to see the signs. So here's a good example.
Oh, wait. Just because I'm a slow learner sometimes, and only by that I mean I just like to okay, this looks like something to pay attention to. This dawned on me, a little light bulb went on in my head that paying attention to the positive, as you call it, or connections between what you're thinking and what's around you, brings you into the present.
Yep.
I mean, believe it or not, I never put that together.
Well, that's a synchronicity here. We created one.
Yes, I got a little learning thing. That was a little bong in my brain because
good.
Anyway, please continue with the case that you're talking about.
Okay, so being in the present and being aware of what's around you is something that is very lacking in this world today because everything that's going on, the electronics, the stress, it's hard for people to stay present and in the moment. They're always thinking about what's next. They're always waiting for the next Facebook post or whatever. So an example of this is my wife and I, Ann, were at a grocery store, and you know how you hopefully you have the change so you don't have to break a big bill of $20. So I was looking for a $1 bill and I didn't have it. So we were discussing with the teller. We said, "Oh, well, I wish I had $1." So we went outside and we're walking to the car, and I was thinking about what we were going to do next, which was take a bike ride. So I'm beelining it to the car, whereas Ann was really thinking about that dollar and not having it because she thought she had it in her pocket. So she looks down and there's a dollar on the ground right in front of her. So I wasn't present. I was in the future. She was present in the moment and happened to look down, and there's that dollar we were talking about that we needed. So being in the present and being aware allowed her to see that dollar where I missed it.
It's also what you described with Ann did is the definition of luck, according to a researcher in luck named Wiseman, which I think is pretty funny for a last name on that one. And Wiseman did a study of people who said they were lucky or people who said they weren't lucky. And he put some money down on the floor at a cafe and put the subjects into the cafe. And if they looked at the money, found the money, then they were going to look up and see some guy who was going to advise them about financial futures for them. The people who thought themselves unlucky never saw the money and never talked to the guy. The people who were thought of themselves as lucky saw the money and ended up talking to the guy. And that's what Ann did.
Right. And you could redefine lucky as being aware, looking for the positive, looking for goodness in the world, so you find that. So there are things that are random, but in this situation, I would consider luck to be synchronicity or intuition or coincidence, that all that related in some way.
Definitely. And you're clarifying that being aware, looking for the positive, thinking that something positive can happen. If you're not thinking that, then you're not going to see what's standing out in front of you.
Right.
But one of the fundamentals of your new work of the last 20 years is intuition. And I am continuing to talk to various people on this program about what they mean by intuition. What do you mean by intuition?
Okay. So I look at things a little bit more from the spiritual side, from the higher perspective of evolution and growth and spirituality and enlightenment and all that area. So what I look at it is this is our connection to the higher realms. It would be to our higher source, our full self, our higher self, to source, all the way up to source. So it's our connection to that bigger thing. That's how we communicate with that as a individual energy. So like a snowflake, each one of them is different. Each one of the people on the earth has a different frequency and a different energy, and that's how we connect back to the one or the source. So my definition would be that is our connection to source. That's how we communicate with source.
That's very general.
Mm-hmm.
That is very general. And intuition, generally speaking, is not the use of rationality, but getting information or observation. It's getting information from someplace else. It bypasses the regular senses and rationality. Now, I have, and many other people have, different voices coming from outside of rationality, from outside of what's they're perceiving with the five senses, and having to make some distinctions among and between them about which ones to listen to. How do you help people with that problem?
Well, intuition is like anything. It takes practice.
Yes.
And you can have a coincidence here or there, but if you really want to use your intuition, it requires practice. It requires a belief that it works, because you have to have a belief. If you don't, then it's not going to work. It might work sporadically, but it won't work on the whole. You also have to have commitment to use it, which is also practice, and you have to be in the moment to use it. And an example that I use is one time I was looking for my keys. I had a meeting to go to, and I couldn't find my keys. So I asked my intuition, or some part of me, whatever you want to call that. I use intuition.
Okay.
And I said, "Where are my keys?" So immediately I was flashed a fleece jacket. All right, my fleece jacket, I thought. So I went over to the coat rack, and there's my fleece jacket, and I fished inside, and it wasn't there. And I thought, well, this is weird. It usually works. So where is it? So I still had some time, so I was walking around, and then I had the thought, well, where is my keys? And I went back to the fleece jacket again. They weren't there. So it's getting time to leave, so I had to kind of invoke it even more, and I said, I need those keys now. So what did I do? I went back to that fleece jacket. I had that image. And this time I saw that there was another fleece jacket underneath mine. And I reached in the pocket, and the keys were there. It was Ann's coat, my wife, and she had put them in her pocket after we took the walk the day before. And so they were in a fleece jacket. It wasn't mine, but I had to practice or go back and forth to see and test that. So there is a point where you have to test or prove that it's intuition. And it was correct intuition, but it was just a little bit different. And that's where being in the present and aware helped me find my keys.
I would add that in order for you to create this outcome, you had to be relaxed. And I think that's what you mean by being in the present, but you can be anxious in the present, you can be angry in the present. Those are often future-oriented, but it's still right now. In order for you to get that clear image, you had to be relaxed enough and believe enough in your intuition to be able to manifest that vision, that image, enough times to know that's where the keys were.
Yeah, that's all part of it. You have to, there is a point where you have to quiet the mind and be, go ahead.
Yeah, and the body.
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to get anxious. What if I don't have my keys? Your body will get tight and your mind will start spinning about the consequences of not having the keys.
I fully agree. You have to, and that's where that flow comes in. That's where exercise, that's where having the blood flow, having the mind flow. And these are all the things that you talk about in your book. It's the mind flowing, the heightened emotions. All of those things are in movement, which creates more intuition and synchronicities and intuition and synchronicities and coincidences.
You have developed a trust in your intuition over all this time. And I think that's a key idea, trusting that you can find the answer.
Trust or commitment. Yes.
That's what you mean. Trust and commitment are the same thing for you.
Yeah. I like the word trust that you bring up, because you become trusting. It's just like when you are in a relationship and you can fully trust your partner and you go, wow, that's great. I trust that person is going to be there for me. It's the same thing with intuition. You trust that intuition will be there. You don't necessarily know how it's going to come to you, but you know it's going to be there in some way.
We're coming to the end of this segment too, and that idea of trusting your intuition is so critical. You're listening to the Connecting with Coincidence with your host, Bernie Beitman, MD, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And our guest today is Greg Myeroff, co-founder of Go Intuition.
Our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond. You're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God, It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Oh, welcome back to CC with BB, with your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, and that is me. And our guest today is Greg Myeroff, who is the author of The Path of Intuition, your guidebook for life's journey. And we've been talking about intuition. And when I look inside myself for answers to things, sometimes I have to be a little suspicious about what I'm getting, because I've often been led by my own intuition, my own voices, let me say voices from inside, to do things that maybe aren't in my best interest.
Oh, I fully agree. There are, and I call it the unconscious programming that might be in there, or other people's energies. An example, just the other day, had a client that wanted to go to a party because thought it would be a good way to get out and start mingling with people and being more active. And yet he had this reluctance to go. Now, yes, he was single, going to a mostly couples party, but had this big reluctance to go. So called and said, well, what should I do? I think I should go, but maybe I shouldn't go because I have this, what I feel like is a gut feeling. When you looked at the energy, it actually was the energy of his daughter that didn't want him to go and leave her, and one, to be alone, but two, because on a deeper level, she didn't want him to meet anybody to come into the life, because they had such a good relationship now that he had been divorced. So that shows you that sometimes other people's energies can actually affect our own intuition.
Great. That is so important in this whole thing, is making that distinction, because when it comes into your mind, when it comes into my mind, I have trouble distinguishing, or had more trouble distinguishing when it's somebody else versus me. And how did you help him make that distinction?
Well, that's where some of my abilities come in. I looked at the energy and I could see it wasn't him, that he had it looked good for him to go, but that there was another influence. And so that's just some of my abilities of seeing where the energy is coming from and then letting him know that. And then he can make the choice based on that information, whether he goes or not.
Tell us about this way you have of reading other people's intuition.
Well, it's more of reading their energy.
Or reading their energy, I mean. Okay.
Yeah, because everybody has a certain energy pattern. That what I do is I have somebody say their full name 3 times for me, and it's just like dialing a phone number. It's just like you dialing me today. And it connects with that person and their energy. So I can see what their energy looks like. And then I can see if there's another influence coming in. It could be a different color. It could be a different density. It just looks foreign to them. And then I go and I look at where that's coming from. And then I tuned into the daughter. And then the daughter, I asked him how his daughter felt about him going, and then that's when more of it came out. So it's part of looking at energy and then asking questions, probably similar to what you do. You see something and then you ask further questions, and then they can look inside and see what the answers are.
Similarity is seeing something and asking about it. Yep. The difference is seeing energy. And when I'm listening to you tell me that, I'm in my mind, I'm seeing what you're saying, that you, Greg, sees different energy, different colors of energy, different, and there's more than that, vibrational energies in the other person, and can distinguish the energies that belong to that person and the energies that come from somebody else.
Yeah, I agree with that, but there's also, you can't be in the profession you are in without having a very strong intuition. So you may get it through a thought, you may get it through an idea, a knowing, a sense in your body. It just so happens that I have developed this trait along with others, but we all have them. We just receive them in different ways. And one is not right and one is not wrong. They're all just ways we see them, and some are stronger than others.
I'm asking about this because what you're describing is a capacity that I am beginning to, or have been developing to some extent, but you're giving me a little more confidence in being able to do it as I kind of copy what you're doing. When I dance with people, one of the things that I have ended up doing, that happened last Friday, is that I started copying the other dancers, particularly one very good dancer. She was surprised to see that I could do it. It's kind of a kinetic empathy is lining up with the other person. And then other people started coming up to me wanting me to be a mirror of them. And that's a kind of movement, kinetic way of doing it. You are able to manage somehow to line up with the energy field, the energies of the other person, and read them in your own intuition as colors that then you ask about. I'm just trying to figure out, am I saying that in a direction that sounds right to you?
Yes, it comes in many different ways.
Yes, tell us about that.
Well, sometimes it's a feeling. It just doesn't feel right to me. Sometimes I'll blatantly see the different energies coming in.
Visually, you'll see them.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll hear things, but that's not a real strong thing for me. But also I'll get knowings. I'll just have a thought about something, and I'll go, boy, that's crazy. Where did that come from? And then it ends up being right. All of those take practice. All of those take looking at it, seeing many clients, teaching many people to hone the skills. They're not just, a lot of times they're given to people in a certain way through accidents and trauma. And they're given a gift, but it's not necessarily the whole package. So
they've got to develop them. They've got to practice them. They've got to sharpen them, hone them. How do they go about honing them?
Well, first of all, is knowing that you have them. Okay, that's the belief.
Right. Yeah, you have to have that first. Yeah,
you have to have that first, and then you could say trust that you have them. And then start practicing. I always have, when I'm first starting with students and clients, is to start a journal. And that journal, I have them write down things. They have a thought about somebody and they call them, write it down. Or if they have a thought about somebody and they call and they don't get them, write that down too. So then go back and say, well, why did I have the feeling to call at one point in time and not in another? And then you trust those. Another story, this one just came up. We actually were leaving the conference that we were at in Las Vegas, and we wanted to stop at the north rim of the Grand Canyon. I mean, it's hard to get to, and it's one place I wanted to go. I'd been to the south rim. And we called. We wanted to stay there because the hotels were miles and miles away. So we called, and the receptionist laughed, and she says, I don't know what you're talking about. We have been booked solid since June. I said, fine. Can we call back? She said, sure. So out of the blue, one moment, I said, Ann, we need to call. And at that moment, she called, and they had just got an opening for one cabin for one night the day we wanted to be there. So that trusting, Ann trusts that I have those intuitions, but that took a long time to practice to weed out whether, it's fanciful thinking, or act on it, see if it works. If it works, then it's good intuition. If it doesn't, then it's a false intuition.
Yeah, that's just what I'm talking about, Greg. And that's just what I'm trying to learn. And it's to be able to tell the good intuitions the ones that are right from the ones that aren't.
Yep.
And that quality, it has a certain vibrational feel, the ones that are right versus the ones that may be more questionable. And that's what that's what your students have to learn to be able to recognize what is the vibrational quality of that intuitive message that makes it seem like the right thing.
With that example, it was not a feeling or a sensing. It was a thought. Call them now. Okay, it was just a thought. And instead of having to, I get the feeling I should call now, it was call now.
It was a thought. And it had a certain quality to it. That's what I'm talking about. The thought had a quality that you could recognize as one you should respond to. What was that quality?
Again, it was more of a do it now kind of thing, like a pushing me to do it. And I didn't really look at the quality of that.
But you're describing the quality right now. It was a voice. It was the thought had enough something, truth in it, or it seemed right to you. It was just that. It was so clear. Maybe that's all it was. Not all it was. It was so clearly right that it was like looking at a tree and saying, that's a tree. I get this thought and it's true. And you didn't even have to question that.
Yeah, that was a lot of, yes. And that was a lot of practice that when I have these, I just follow them. So you could say, yes, it just felt true. It was just what I was supposed to do. And
we're coming to the end of this, but that what you're saying is so important. You are listening to Connecting with Coincidence with your host, Bernie Beitman, MD, on the X Zone Broadcast Network. And our guest is Greg Myeroff, co-founder of Go Intuition.
The X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Yes. Welcome back to Connecting with Coincidence with Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, and that is me. And we're intuitively focused today with Greg Myeroff, who's the author of The Path, co-author of The Path of Intuition. Greg, we've gotten really deeply into intuition, and I admire how much you've practiced and understand this. But I'd like to go off to some of the coincidence stories and coincidence uses that you've mentioned to me. How can you have coincidences in one area of your life while you don't have them in another?
Well, we all have blinders to certain things. If you grow up thinking money was easy, then you can create money easy. If you think it is bad and it's unspiritual and you can't have it, then you probably wouldn't be having those ideas and coincidences around money. An example would be going back to what you're feeling, what you were talking about before with the feeling. I had a good relationship with my wife, and she passed away after 15 years. So I was very anxious to get into another relationship. Anxious in terms of I needed to find out how to relate to people again. So I took classes and I took relationship workshops. And so my focus was to create another relationship. But I wanted to know and I wanted it to be right. So I did some dating and things like that. But it wasn't getting anywhere. So I kind of gave up. And then my friends called me and said, well, we want you to go to this workshop with us. And I said, well, where is it? Well, I was living in Seattle at the time, and the workshop was in North Carolina. Well, that takes you a day to get there. It's a long day. And they gave me the price, and it was very expensive. And I said, okay. And then they said, oh, by the way, you have to take another pre-class before you go there that's in Denver. So the time is adding up, and all this stuff is I'm questioning whether I should go. But all the time it was, I need to be there. I need to be there. I don't know why. I need to be there. Well, what happened was the first night of the workshop, Anne, my current wife, is sitting in front of me. So I had to go all the way across the country to meet her. So that intuition of I have to be at this workshop with the help of my friends getting me there. Then I went and saw her and met her, but then I had to take action on that intuition, which is I called her later and we got together. So that shows that it was a very strong feeling I needed to be there, and it changed my life by meeting Anne, and we've been together for 20 years now.
And somehow you had to move to where she was, or she had to move where you were?
Well, yes, she said, I'm not moving. I live in the mountains in Colorado, and I'm not moving. So I said, I looked at it, and I knew she came up to visit for 2 weeks, and in
Seattle. In Seattle.
Yeah, well, actually, for a couple of days, stayed for 2 weeks. I came and visited her. I knew it was right. We had all the things together in our ideas and our beliefs. And so in 3 months, I had quit my job and moved to Denver or Summit County. So I knew it was right. And the worst thing that could happen is I'm living in Denver instead of Seattle. So it can't get much worse than that.
Yeah, one of my sons is in Denver. It's some great mountains in both places. I lived in Seattle too. So I'm seeing that Anne Salisbury is your co-founder of Go Intuition. So she's pretty good with intuition too, huh?
Yeah, she has a little different. You see, it's interesting because we complement each other when we do sessions together. I can see the energy and I can focus on it and I can say, well, there's a block here in the person's elbow. And then she can go in and actually see what the block is. So her clairvoyant psychic ability is more in tune than mine in finding out the reasons behind things. And she's had this since birth, so she's developed it quite well. But when we work together, I do the energy work, and then she does the kind of analysis of what's going on.
Great! What a wonderful combination.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What's fun. And how do you teach people to have more coincidences?
Well, I would use the same formula as intuition. It all starts with some kind of desire. And the desire can either be conscious or it can be unconscious. Like that thought about being on your radio show was just like a fleeting thought. It wasn't a big, oh, I want to be on Bernie's radio show to have fun and be challenged with his questions. It wasn't that. It was, oh, I would like to be on a fun radio show. I haven't done one for a while. I've been doing more speaking just in person. So I said, that would be fun. And there it happened. So there is a desire that's there in some way that helps create that synchronicity, coincidence, serendipity, intuition. I kind of lump them together, and I know you don't, but that's the way I look at them. They all kind of fit together in one big package.
Yeah, I don't. I'm analytical. You're not particularly analytical, from what you tell me, and more so. You're kind of feeling kind of person. But I'd rather not do those categories. But yes, I do try to take those words apart. It's part of where I am as a recovering academic. It's still, I like to put things in categories and define words.
Sure.
And how do you teach people to have to nurture synchronicities?
Well, I think a huge thing is all of the things that you listed in your book. High emotions, transition. See, what it is it's wanting to create something. There's a desire somewhere, and to have an experience. And if you're open, well, let's take a trip, right? If you take a trip somewhere, all of those things are in play, right? Your heightened emotion because you're excited about being in let's say you go to London. You're excited about being there, so your emotions are heightened. Your mental activity is higher because you're looking around, you're trying to figure things out. Yeah. So it's all there at once, and all of those things add to intuition. So if you can keep all those flowing through taking classes and seminar and doing dance like you do and exercise, all that keeps the flow going mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
Good. How do you, one of the questions you had was, how do you block coincidences, and why would you want to?
Well, they can be too much for somebody.
Yes, okay. Yes, and yes.
Yes. Yeah. I say yes too. Some people just can't handle it. They don't want to go there. I knew somebody that always had the feeling about when somebody was going to pass away. So I looked at it as a gift that could be expanded. And she looked at it as something that she didn't want, so she completely shut down her psychic abilities because she didn't want to have that knowledge. So some people can't handle it psychically, emotionally, for whatever reason, so they can shut it down. But normally, just in everyday life, people shut it down through stress, through electronics, through poor diet, because there's not as much flow, there's not exercise. So you can do any of those things can either slow it down or block it completely.
Oh, so how did the woman with being able to know people were going to die, and I've heard this from somebody else too, and it was somebody emailed me about it, and she didn't want it either because it's so terrible to have to start the grieving thing beforehand and not be able to do anything about the person's dying. How did that person block that precognitive capacity?
You can block it. You can say to your higher self, or you can say to the universe, I don't want this anymore. And you can literally stop those abilities. The other part is getting on medication in order to just numb that area so it's not available to come up. So it was kind of both of those.
And I have had some people consult with me who've had many coincidences. One person was flooded with them, and we talked about it and tried to be able to see what they meant to her. So the way I helped her was to see how she could use these experiences for her own development. And as we talk, I think the persons that you knew and the person that I heard from, who was able to sense people dying, there's a lesson in there for each of these people. How would you go about helping them see that?
Well, I think your train of thought there with your helping some people, I look at this as we're here on this earth to have an experience and to grow spiritually, evolve as a person. So if you take those coincidences as just little lessons or little guideposts to either lead you in the right direction or in the wrong direction, and look at them as learning tools, that could help the people by saying, okay, this isn't bad or this isn't good. This is just to help you. These are the road signs along the way that keep you in the right path, because we can get off track in our lives because we have choice. We can go one way or the other. So it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, and you have a path to the Golden Temple, or you have a path to the Flying Monkeys. And which one do you choose?
And choice is what we got here. We're choosing the end of this, Greg. This has been a very good conversation. I've learned a lot. And thank you for being with us. You've been listening to Connecting with Coincidence with your host, Bernie Beitman, MD, on the X Zone Broadcast Network. We've been talking with Greg Myeroff.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.